The B.S Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the B.S Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The B.S Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The B.S Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. We're taping this on a Monday. It's running Tuesday. Calling my buddy House to talk about a whole bunch of NBA stuff and maybe a little baseball too. He's at work. He's awaiting our call. Let's give him a ring.
Joe House.
House, what's happening?
Yeah, what's happening?
I don't know what's happening. What is happening? You're supposed to say what is happening. That's your catchphrase.
What is happening?
How do you
Not
screw
much
up
of a
your own
catchphrase.
catchphrase? It is too.
Is it?
It's a catchphrase.
What is happening?
You got to protect your brand.
You're right. Bad
going
job
on?
by me.
Let's talk basketball.
Okay.
Your thoughts on what the Brooklyn Nets did, first of all.
They made a splash at precisely the right time to make a splash. I think anything that generates some positive vibe, even if it's preposterous in terms of long-range planning and the ultimate success of the squad, I like what they did. They also positioned themselves to be very credible players in the Dwight Howard saga, even if it didn't bear any fruit.
The Dwight Howard saga has become very interesting. We're taping this on a Monday. We're probably going to run it later in the week, so things may have changed by the time you hear this. I doubt it, though, because I think the Dwight Howard thing is going to drag on and on. But it does say, first of all, Daryl's all in.
Yeah.
And that's been the most overused phrase of this summer period was teams going all in. They're all in. They push their chips in, all that stuff. Daryl's more all in than I think anybody's ever been as an NBA GM. Like he's just getting rid of guys that, Scola, they amnestied. It's hard for me to believe Scola's only worth $4 million a year, which is what Phoenix is paying him. I think the only reason that happened was because there was only 5 teams that could bid. I like Scola. I wouldn't have amnestied Scola. Would you have amnestied Scola?
I think I would have done whatever was necessary to put myself in the position that Daryl has. And the reason I think so, you have to be prepared to pay the price on a whole slew of players that you think are probably you're going to, in a market sense, not get real return back for what they can contribute to other teams.
But wait a second.
If you project, go ahead.
But he didn't have to amnesty Scola until he knew he was getting Howard. That's the part I don't get. It's not like there was a deadline to amnesty guys.
What was what's Scola's salary?
I think he made like 9 or 10 this year, 9 or 10 next year, and then the third year they could buy him out for $1 million.
We sure that there wasn't a deadline for the amnesty?
Yeah, I'm reasonably sure.
Okay, I don't know.
I'll Google it as we're talking, but
I'm not going to. I don't have any point of view on the timing. I think moving the pieces to be ready to move quickly is sensible enough, and if that's the explanation, I'll be satisfied with it. But I think in a broader sense, if you have a team that's projected to win 42 to 46 games, then you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, how long, what's our goal here? Is our goal to just, bring in 12 or 13,000 fans and have 7,000 season ticket seats filled and kind of plod along here and hope people are satisfied with us nibbling around the edges of the playoffs, or are you going to try and win a championship? If you're going to try and win a championship, then you got to go all in.
I just found the answer to the question.
Okay.
I'm gonna tackle your thoughts in a second.
Good.
It seems like there was a Tuesday night amnesty deadline.
Okay.
So Houston had to decide before Tuesday night.
That's tomorrow night.
Right. So why not just do it Tuesday night? What are they doing it last week for? I guess I'm nitpicking.
I mean, again, maybe he had a sense as to how the Orlando talks were going, such that it made sense for him to have that already accomplished. You don't want to walk up to the brink and have things unmarked on your to-do list.
Oh, you know why that's important? Because your team might amnesty Andre Blatch.
Yes,
You'll find out Tuesday night whether he's still in your life or not.
It's true. He'll always be in my life because I'll always have a special place for Lap Dance Dre. But
because you named your toilet Andre.
That's not nice.
So, yeah, I agree with you that all your teams you're trying to get assets. You're doing whatever it can take to land the asset you want to do, whether it's in the staying, trading guys away, whatever. And I also agree with you that you don't want to be in no man's land, which is something we've talked about many times. And Houston was in no man's land. So Daryl is now either going to have a contending team with Dwight Howard or a terrible team without Dwight Howard.
Right.
Which is kind of where you want to be.
I think that's right. It also, I think, has to be the case that he regards Howard as a transcendent, once-in-a-generation kind of player. And I think, Howard's talent kind of bears that out on the defensive end.
He is a guaranteed 50-win team.
Right.
You win 50 games with Dwight Howard every year and get a top 5 playoff seed no matter who else is on his team, basically.
Well, it's going to end up, if the deal goes through, looking a lot like that Orlando team.
Right. You know what's interesting, though? Everybody keeps saying Jason Richardson is a bad contract. Why is he a bad contract? He was overweight last year. I think Jason Richardson's good. He makes like $5 million a year.
He is? That's cheap.
Yeah.
We watched him beat the Pacers by having a great second half last year during the Super Bowl.
Andre Blatch is a bad contract. Jason Richardson is not a bad contract. So he made $5.3 million last year.
That seems like the right price for him.
And I think there's 3 years left at 18, 19 million. So makes more than Jason Terry. It's not a catastrophe, though.
What is he, 32?
Yeah.
He's older than that.
And again, he was out of shape last year. I mean, I think he would be a little motivated if he's spending the whole summer reading about how he's a bad contract.
You'd hope.
He's 31.
Oh, yeah, on the youngish side. Not young, but
last year was his worst year in like 5 or 6 years, and he still shot 37% from 3.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad contract. Big Baby's another one. He's not a bad contract. He's still like somebody who's proven that he can be one of the 9 guys on a really good team. He's overpaid.
Right.
I think Turkoglu is the only bad contract out of
those
guys.
Yeah.
But from what I can gather, it really seems like the deal that makes the most sense for everybody involved is Bynum going to the Rockets, Howard going to the Lakers, and then Orlando getting rid of all of the contracts that they're trying to get rid of, and they get some picks and a couple young players.
So
that's what makes the most sense.
Help me understand why Bynum to the Rockets makes more sense than Howard to the Rockets.
Because I don't think they can take all the bad contracts that Orlando has, and I think that's part of the issue.
Houston cannot.
Orlando wants to get rid of Turkoglu, Glenn Davis, Richardson, Quentin Richardson, and Duhan. It's like $40 million of bad contracts.
Yeah.
Or 35 or something like that. So the best way to do that, from my extensive tinkering with the trade machine, would be the Lakers get Bynum. The Lakers get Dwight Howard, but they also take on Turkoglu's contract. So it's like $31 million, something like that. They have to take on.
And what do the Lakers have to do to make room for Turkoglu's contract?
So the Lakers would have to give up Bynum.
Yeah.
Josh McRoberts, who's expiring.
Uh-huh.
And then Steve Blake, who's like 2 years, $8 million, something like that.
They don't have to amnesty Meta?
They could. That could be their next move to save money. I mean, yeah. They could take on potentially $32 million, get rid of 23 or 24, and then amnesty meta so that they don't get killed in the luxury tax. So if you're just telling me in a vacuum, do you trade Andrew Bynum, Josh McRoberts, and Steve Blake for Dwight Howard and Turk Lou and then amnesty Artest? Is that a good move for your basketball team? I would say yes 1,000 times over, right?
Of course.
So then Houston, with the cap space that they picked up, could potentially take on Richardson, Big Baby, Duhan, and Quentin Richardson with Bynum. And then they give up Kevin Martin's expiring contract, some of the rookies they picked, a couple draft picks, whatever. Seems like a steep price for Andrew Bynum.
The concern I would have is we have exactly 60 games worth of a sustained, uninjured Bynum. The sample size for him being healthy for a full season is not large.
And we're also not sure of him as a personality.
Right.
But if I'm Houston and I can get Bynum and the only two contracts I have to take are Richardson and Glenn Davis, and then maybe I have to give up Jeremy Lamb, Terrence Jones, Kevin Martin's contract, the pick I got from Toronto, and my own number one.
What's that package for?
I'm saying I end
to
up
the
with,
Lakers?
No, I'm saying in that 3-team trade.
Yeah, okay.
So if I end up with Bynum, Jason Richardson, and Glenn Davis, those are the only three guys I get back. And I can keep Royce White somehow. And then I give up the other two guys I picked, and that Toronto pick, Kevin Martin, maybe my own pick, something like that.
I mean, I'm having a hard time filling out the roster. Ashik is on the team then. Lynn is on the team then.
I don't think Ashik's on the team.
Oh. The Bulls are going to match?
I kind of have a feeling they do. This has been the weirdest thing about this summer is the fact that I don't think people understand. Like, if Houston gets Asic and Lynn, they're only paying those guys $8 million a year. They're not paying them $15 million in year 3. That's only for the teams that they're already on.
Right, that poison balloon.
Yeah, it's a crucial point because in year 3 they're paying Lynn $8.3 million, but if he stays in the Knicks, it's $15 million. And then it really becomes 30. So, but I think the Bulls are going to end up keeping Asic. I do. That's a tough asset to lose. And the other thing, and this is why I actually thought the Knicks should have signed Landry Fields and Lynn, because those third year, those are expiring contracts. And what do they care about luxury tax? They make like $1 billion a year.
Yeah, the other reason to me that makes sense to match for both those guys is the youth. I mean, look at the team otherwise.
Right. It's an asset thing. You want to keep assets. If money is no object for your team, you keep any asset you can get. Now, the Knicks are saying money's an object for them. But the Knicks and the Lakers, I know, that's the thing. After the Jalen Rose and Steve Francis trades, I thought it was pretty clear that they didn't care. But I really thought they should have, well, they haven't decided yet, but I think they should match the Lynn offer.
So do I.
It'd be crazy not to.
So do I.
Paying him like $5 million year 1, $5 million year 2, and then $15 year 3, something like that. All right, so he's totally underpaid for the first 2 years for what he could have gotten in free agency. And then the third year, worst case scenario, is an expiring contract. But with the money you can make from marketing him,
that's the point
it's
to
a
me.
No-brainer.
That's why you do it. He saved your season last year. You went to the playoffs because of this kid. He was a worldwide phenomena. The NBA was cutting away to, restaurants and gymnasiums filled with Chinese people watching him play. You think that's something you could translate into a couple bucks?
I also think he's good. It seems like people are really playing up now that one Miami game when he was terrible right before the All-Star break, which was his only bad game of that whole run. And now people are, he couldn't even get the ball over midcourt, like that kind of stuff. It's like, a guy had a bad game. He's 23. It started for 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Going against the two of the greatest athletes we've had in the league in the last 15 years, and they were fired up to play against him. I'm pretty sure he could have adjusted if he had kept playing. Worst case scenario, he proved that he could be a third guard off the bench who can score.
Absolutely.
A lot like what he could basically do what Dragic did last year for Houston.
Sure.
could score in limited minutes. If somebody gets hurt, he could easily start and produce.
Right. So look at the deal Dragic just signed with Suns. Is that is he a valuable player? Yes. What's the market for a player like that? Well, the Suns just showed you.
The Knicks fans are mad. We did this thing on Grantland about whether Knicks fans could switch to Brooklyn. I tweeted yesterday. You're a good case study because you quit on the Orioles because of Angelos. You had it.
Yeah.
You didn't even know the Nationals were coming when you did it. That was it. You were a
no,
baseball widow.
I resolved in '97 to never pay another penny to the Baltimore Orioles organization directly out of my wallet. I mean, I still subscribed to the local cable channels that Angelos had his filthy fingers in. But I vowed, and that I've held to it. I haven't paid a single penny to that organization out of my wallet since '97.
Then the Nats came along, and it was an easy switch for you.
Right.
Now, it's interesting. I love hearing the different discussions on this. I think it would be pretty tough to root if you're like a real diehard Knicks fan. No matter how much you hate Dolan and no matter how helpless you feel, pretty hard to switch to the Nets, the team that was their quote unquote black sheep brother rival, whatever, over in New Jersey, playing in front of half-filled arenas the whole time. They come to Brooklyn, like you would feel like a little bit of a bandwagon jumper. On the other hand, life is too short, and Dolan's not going anywhere. And if you've been unhappy the last 12 years, I have a news flash for you. The next 30 years are going to be like this.
I guess the thing, it's very hard for me, and I imagine, well, less so for you because you've lived in a different place now with a whole different suite of sports teams. But, I lived in Washington my whole life, other than when we were in college together, and I hated all the New England teams anyway. It would be hard, I think, to root for, for me, the almost Bullets here in Washington. They're in my blood. So if another team popped up in the area, I would be interested because it means, at least for me, I get to watch 2 sets of NBA games, going on a week, which would be great. But I think I would, have an encouraging kind of point of view towards them. But I wouldn't root for them. I would want them to do well because it would help my own personal enjoyment of the game, but I wouldn't root for them.
I wouldn't either. And when I fell out of hockey, in the 90s, and it happened for a lot of the same reasons you stopped rooting for the Orioles. But also, I didn't really like hockey that much. Hockey went in this direction. I just didn't enjoy watching it. And, the last 5 years, they changed some of the things that I didn't like. They added a salary cap, which kind of eliminated the Bruins owner from doing some of the stuff he did, and slowly started to watch more and get sucked back in. At no point would I ever have been like, I'm just going to pick another team. Right. But at the same time, I'm not against it.
Your experience with your daughter and the LA Kings, that hockey team, you came to appreciate that team. You were, you weren't happy that. You weren't unhappy that they won the cup.
No, I wanted them to win. I was rooting for them because of my daughter. I certainly, there was no Kings in my blood or anything like that. I liked the people in my section, and I liked my daughter. It's the same thing with the Clippers. If you live somewhere where there's teams, it's almost like when you root for your own, the local high school team or something. It's fun to be around people that are rooting for the same team.
Yeah.
Now, switching from the Knicks to Brooklyn is a little different, and turning your back on the Knicks, especially if you're a lifelong fan. But, the Brooklyn thing's pretty interesting. Here's what I think. And, I think it's up to the person. But I think if you have to do it, you can't root for both. If you're going to switch, you have to switch. But I think if you live in Brooklyn and this team comes there and you're a really disgruntled Knicks fan who's just had it with Dolan and you're looking at the big picture and this guy's going to be sitting there for another 30 years. And now you have this team that's in your borough, basically. I think it's totally justifiable to switch.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. It's that locality thing that makes it – that's the group, that's the demographic that I think has the best case for switching over. Because you want to root for the guys that are in your backyard.
And then the other thing, let's say you're from, like the Hersheimer brothers. Their dad, diehard Brooklyn Dodgers fan. Dodgers moved to L.A. They still root for him. The whole family roots for him. It's a Brooklyn thing. Now Brooklyn has a team again. Could you make a case that all the Brooklyn Dodger fans could root for this team?
Wow.
Might be able to.
Could be. Yeah, I could see it. Again, I think it just goes to, if there's a team where you grew up or where you are, there's kind of a natural affection there.
Yeah, for you. Now, it would have been interesting. Let's say Angelos doesn't happen. Let's say you have a normal Orioles owner.
Yeah.
And then now the Nats are in Washington. So you still love the Orioles the same way you love the Redskins or the Bolé.
Yeah.
But now you have the Nats, and it's a different league. You could have potentially an AL team and an NL team.
Right.
Is that legal? I feel like it's a little bit of sports bigamy.
I love it. Legal. I don't know. Under that hypothetical, I would have had a really hard time, being anything other than amused by the Nats. Because the Orioles were seriously I had season tickets to the Orioles in '95 and '96. Like I was driving up and down '95 to go to Orioles games from Silver Spring.
That's because you were unemployed.
No, I was a student. I was in school.
Yeah.
That's what student loans are for. Season tickets.
Yeah.
So, but he in like 4 short years, turned me against them. I just couldn't, in good faith, continue to give him money. But if that hadn't happened, I'd still be a pretty deep Orioles fan. I love the American League. That's one of the things that I resent the most about Angelos. I grew up an American League kid, and I'm out of touch with the American League now. I couldn't name, I don't know. I could name a lot of players still. I couldn't name 5 Seattle Mariners. How about that?
I feel the same way about the National League. I think this is something this is a whole other discussion, but it seems like this is something that's happening in baseball, and it's undeniable that people now more and more just care about their own team, and they don't care about anything else that's happening.
Well, the thing that goes along with it, and this works for both you and I too, I'm in a fantasy league. It's National League only.
Yep.
And you're in an American League only.
Yeah, I know what's going on in the American League only because of that fantasy league. And if I wasn't in that league, I would have really no frame of reference other than the Red Sox games that I watch and who's playing against them.
Exactly.
Which is sad because I read about sports for a living. That's kind of embarrassing to admit, but
that's a nice confession.
Baseball's boring. It's boring unless it's your team. Nobody wants to sit down and watch. Like, I'm not against the people that will watch any baseball game, but you really, it's weird. It's either you need to have your full attention and not do anything else, or you need to watch baseball while you're doing 3 other things. But there's no in between. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll confess, I watch my team and do 3 other things.
That's what I do. I used to sit there and just watch the Red Sox, and now I watch the Red Sox while I'm on my iPad.
Right.
And while I have my laptop open. I'm always doing at least 2 other things when the Red Sox are on. But I don't know whether it's because baseball is just the way our generation, this particular generation is versus what it's like to watch baseball. It's just become too big of a chasm. Or whether, I don't know. I don't fully understand it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I loved watching baseball, and now it's like I can't watch baseball unless I'm doing other things.
I'm in the exact same boat, and I'm sure that there is an explanation with serious, cultural implications and overtones. But I, as a kid, grew up watching baseball on the couch with my dad and my brothers. Whoever's coming in and out, and that was the only thing going on summer evenings. We would come in from playing, outdoors till 8 o'clock at night, come inside, and then the Orioles game would be on. And we'd watch that and then go to bed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the same for my kid.
No. I only know my buddy Gus's middle kid loves baseball and watches it with him. But I bet if I did a poll of all my friends' kids who are under 10, I'd be interested to see how many of them watch baseball games and go to them. My friend Mike Tolan has a son that he was trying to get into the Phillies, and he's gone to some games with them. But
the going is still fun.
Going's fun because you're eating and drinking.
Yes.
And also, it's interesting. Baseball has really been helped by the BlackBerry and the iPhone.
I think that's true, but let me hear your point of view on it.
No, going to baseball games.
Yeah, I agree, because you can do the multitasking that you're accustomed to.
Right, but here's the problem. If you go to a baseball game and you look around, everybody's head is down most of the time.
Yes.
We're heading to the point where there's going to be video of somebody just getting killed by a foul ball because they're texting.
Well, I hope not killed. I mean...
No, it's going to happen. Somebody's sitting in those seats that are like close to the dugout. You should not be texting when you're in those seats.
I agree with that.
And somebody's going to get nailed by a ball soon because, oh, you know what I meant to tell you? We went to the Home Run Derby. And and somebody hit the gold ball into, we were in the left field in that thing.
Yeah.
Ricocheted off the back and bounced right toward me and Jacoby. I touched it with my finger.
Ooh.
Hit Jacoby right in the middle of his right hand.
And?
Dropped it.
What's the significance of the gold ball? I have to confess, I didn't catch much of the Derby last week.
It's like the better ball. It's the one you want to catch.
Well, what do you do with it?
I think it's worth 2 or something, or it's worth more or something. I mean, do you get an extra?
Do you get an extra hot dog? I'd be interested then.
I don't know either. All I know is,
how about this? Jacoby dropped the ball.
You know, in his defense, they do come flying at you. It does seem a lot easier on TV. It's just like if you're sitting at your desk and I threw a ball at you at like a pretty good speed, I wonder how many times you'd actually just catch it with your hand.
That's different. You have the golden ball traveled 400 and some feet. You could pick it up from the horizon. You got its trajectory. I mean, all the way to the moment it hit him in his hand. You know, from the moment of contact all the way to the hand, it was probably a good 3 seconds.
It's been a really tough year for Jacoby because not only did this happen, but he also choked during the picture with President Obama, and for the rest of his life, his kids are going to wonder why he seems unhappy in the photo.
Yeah, people have only funny things to say about how he appears in that picture.
There's two points that people make when they see the picture. One is, what's wrong with Jacoby? Like, is he a Republican? Like that kind of stuff. And then the other one that's funny is it's basically everyone's taking a picture of you and Obama. It's you and Obama in the middle, and then everyone's kind of surrounding the two of you. It's like you were two dignitaries that met.
On the one.
And everybody's reaction is, why is House next to Obama and you're not? And I'm like, it's a great question. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
It's the only question that matters. And I know the explanation for it. And it was extremely innocent, and it was a judgment made in half a second. But in retrospect, we probably just you'll have to do another picture with him. I'm going to see him tonight, I think. I'm going to go to USA-Brazil basketball. He and Biden are going to be there.
Oh.
I'll go say hi for you.
USA-Brazil?
Yeah.
Is that tonight? Who's on Brazil's team?
I think Nene is on there. I'm pretty sure Varejao is involved.
Jacoby, we might have to run this podcast today as a two-parter.
Barbosa?
I
think Barbosa.
How many one-name guys do they have, you think? I'm going to look this up.
In Brazil, that's a whole country of one-name persons.
Yeah, but Leandro Barbosa didn't go one name.
Oh. Well, so... Yeah,
I thought it was a big mistake
by him, by didn't either. Huh?
Big mistake by I think Barbosa, if he'd just been Leandro, would have been a really strong move by him.
You like Leandro?
Yeah,
I like Barbosa better.
Thiago Splitter they have.
The two Bs.
Brazil's pretty good.
It could be a good game. I'm excited. It's going to be different. I watched quite a bit of that game last week against the Dominican Republic. I'm not going to lie. There were some moments when the USA got going, especially with Westbrook, where it kind of took my breath away.
Yeah, they were doing that thing where they wouldn't let the guys dribble over midcourt.
I love that thing.
It's a couple really interesting things about that team. One is that there are 3 Oklahoma City guys on it.
Yep.
It really jumps out. And I think for those guys, great experience. And if I was Miami or the Lakers or whoever, I would have tried to throw my body in front of James Harden getting one of those spots.
Well, how about this? He deserves it. He makes a useful contribution to them.
So you're going to skimp over the finals?
I mean, I think I go with the body work. Who would you propose to replace him?
No, but I thought it was fair. I think he lucked out though, considering 5 guys were. Listen.
There's no doubt. This whole team is a lucked out team.
The story of this dream team for me, or not dream team, the Olympic team, or the most interesting thing to me is that Rondo's not on the team and everybody's totally fine with it, including myself. But It's pretty amazing that his game is so better suited to the NBA than it is to international.
Yes.
And then B, that he's such a strange personality, and things went so badly during whatever the tryout situation was 2 years ago that everybody decided it would be a terrible idea to have him on the team.
Two very interesting points. He is, by now, I think we're in agreement, he's a top 12 talent in the whole league, right? Pretty weird to have a guy like that at home with all the injuries that this team has.
Could you say he's one of the 8 best players in the league?
I'm willing to go 12. I'm not sure. 8.
I'm going to look at the All-NBA teams.
All right.
2012.
Is he better than Tony Parker? Oh, we're talking USA. That was a bad example.
Yes. He's better than Tony Parker with one eye. Too soon.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that. That's not even funny.
Come on. His eye's fine.
Okay.
All right, so LeBron, Durant, Dwight Howard, we put them over him, right?
Yes, we would.
Chris Paul, there's 4. Kevin Love?
Probably Kevin Love, just because of the
how unique
uniqueness
of a player is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dwayne Wade?
That's pretty even. They're right at each other's.
Carmelo?
I don't like Carmelo anymore. I'm out on Carmelo.
Tyson Chandler?
He's better.
He's better than Tyson Chandler. Tyson Chandler is more valuable for this particular team, but he's a better basketball player.
Undoubtedly so.
Yeah. You could make a case. There's 5. All right, so flipping this around. LeBron, Durant, Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, and then, the Kobe thing's weird because now it's reputation more than actual looking forward, like who right now at this moment, who's better. I thought Rondo brought so much to the table in that playoffs. I was so impressed by him. I mean, he went mano a mano with LeBron and Wade. Like he felt like he was as good as those guys. And
as an objective observer, it was his will more so than KG or Paul or Peepe's
right.
that really took them to the brink of beating Miami. That's my humble observation.
They took that Miami team to 7 with KG, who was really had trouble playing every other day at his age. Like, you never knew what you were totally going to get. You're going to get good defense, but after that, you didn't know. Pierce was on one leg.
Yep.
Ray Allen was on no legs. Couldn't even move. Everybody else on the team was either hurt or lousy. And they took Miami to 7. And then Miami beat Oklahoma City in 5. But it's just pretty great. Like, I guess Westbrook versus Rondo is a great argument.
Yeah, I'm probably a little partial to Westbrook.
Yeah, especially for this team.
Yeah.
And with his defense, and if you're talking two-way players, he's a better two-way player.
Yeah.
Same thing for Wade if healthy.
Right.
He's a better two-way player.
Well, if we're going that way, I mean, D. Rose is better than Rondo.
Yeah, well, he's out of the mix, though.
I know. Wade is, too. Wade's not, Wade's hurt.
So, yeah, it's just weird that I think you could make as you said, he's definitely one of the top 12 players in the league. Might be probably top 10.
There's arguments that can be made.
You could make a case that only 5 or 6 players are definitively better than him.
Yeah.
He's not on the team, and he's 100% healthy, and everybody's fine with it. I mean, that's more damning for him than anything.
And we haven't heard his name come up once.
No, everybody's fine with it.
Said.
What will be interesting to see is how he handles it. Whether
What's
he's
there to
pissed
handle?
off about it. Well,
he's having a great off season. He gets to rest. All those other guys.
I would take it personally. Do you like what my team did this off season?
Yeah, I think that they filled needs.
Terry's an upgrade over Ray Allen. Ray at this point, I'm not sure. Can you count on 100 games in a season from Ray anymore at this point? I'm not sure. I would say probably not.
Right.
Unless he's in the role he's in with Miami, where he's going to play 20 minutes a game. It's a much better role for him.
Yeah, that's true. It was kind of a win-win in that respect.
Terry, though, perfect. And also, I think the thing people miss with Ray and the reason him and Rondo struggle to play together and struggle to get along was Ray's everybody has to chip in to help Ray succeed. He's running off double and triple screens. The point guard's got to pound the ball 25 feet from the basket for 5-6 seconds, waiting for Ray to come around all these different things. And I think Rondo is starting to get frustrated that, they're devoting so much time to helping Ray succeed almost at the expense of his game. And when Bradley was in there and Rondo could just do whatever he wanted, Bradley's doing back cuts, all that stuff, that was such a better fit for Rondo's game. I think that was part of the problem.
But that was just something that came to light last season. I mean, it's not like that's been going on for a long time. And it happened to coincide with, kind of Ray's physical, his aging curve. He's right at kind of the end of his career. So I think, like I said, I think it's kind of a win-win deal here.
I agree. And I would never root against Ray, and I don't blame him for leaving because they tried to trade him twice. And
yeah.
I knew he was going to take heat in Boston, and Boston's, they take all that stuff personally. It's provincial place, all that stuff. There was no question people were going to be mad. But after they tried to trade him twice in February, not once but twice, including to Chicago, and both times the other team backed out. And then they made him come off the bench as a sixth man, which was insulting for him. And
it's good for the team.
It was good for the team, but it was. I think from his vantage point, I don't have a dog in this race. I love the 5 years that Ray gave the Celts. I loved watching them.
You would take it 1,000 times out of 1,000. You would take that 5 years.
But I think at some point, I think he was probably looking at it as, why am I always the guy that has to sacrifice? Why am I always the first guy getting offer around a trade? Why am I the guy who never gets taken care of with a contract extension? And I think he was just like, F this place. And that's it. He went to Miami for half the money. The key was the half the money. You can't say he did it for the money because he took half as much money to go.
So that was the only piece of the whole thing that was a little FU. Guys don't leave money on the table, especially at the end of their careers.
Well, the thing that screwed him over was I think he thought he was going to the Clippers.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the Clippers had money, and they could have given him the same money the Celtics gave him, and it would have been great for him. He could have played with Chauncey and Chris Paul, and it would have been awesome. For some reason, actually, I know the reason, because the Clippers right now are being run by Vinny Del Negro, Andy Roser, and Gary Sachs, who I don't even know who that is, the last guy.
Yeah.
Vinny Del Negro went from being nearly fired to now making personnel decisions for the Clippers in the span of 4 months.
And by the way, not just, was he near getting fired. He deserved to get fired.
He was so close to getting fired that I think they were carrying around like the letter to give him, like with the contract, whatever. Here's your severance termination agreement on the last road trip. That's how close he was. And now he's making personnel decisions, but it's amazing. Look, nobody cares about the Clippers, but the Clippers last year had this team that they either had two types of guys, and one of the two types of guys were just these perimeter guys who could shoot and couldn't guard anybody, right?
Yep.
Undersized guards who were gunners. They had a million of those guys. So the one thing they really needed in the offseason was somebody in the perimeter who could guard, the Kobe Bryant, Eric Gordon type.
Right.
And then they go and they sign Jamal Crawford. I'm not saying Ray could have guarded those guys either, but at least he's a little,
He's played in a very successful defensive system the past 5 years. He understands team defense. I know that much.
Ray knows where to go and what to do.
Yes.
And he's not a complete catastrophe defensively. He can stay in front of Dwayne Wade. He's not going to shut people down, but he's a smart player who knows where to go and what to do.
He'll at least funnel the guys, in the direction they're supposed to be funneled for the help defense.
Jamal Crawford has never guarded any of his life. He's a streak shooter whose streaks are mostly bad. It was a terrible signing. He was awful last year.
It's so
could not
weird.
have been worse. I don't understand how anybody could have watched a Portland Trailblazer game and watched Felton and Crawford last year and then decided that they deserved multi-year contracts. Certainly wouldn't have gotten them for me. But anyway, I think Ray thought he was going there, and I think he thought the Knicks were potentially an option too, and all of a sudden the market kind of dried out on him.
Well, your team is really interesting because it hinges on what you're going to get out of Sullinger.
Well, and Jeff Green.
Well, and Jeff Green, of course, yes.
Who they overpaid, but there was some I don't know this for a fact. I don't think they would ever say this, but I think there was some wink to that Jeff Green deal.
Meaning what?
Well, they basically got out of his contract last year. They're going to pay him $9 million,
Yeah.
which would have been double that with the luxury tax, or
I see.
1.5 times or whatever. And they got rid of him to save the money, and then he kind of stuck around. You know, he wasn't on the team anymore. They had no rights to him. And then they signed him to what it seems like it's 4 years, somewhere between 32 and 34 million, and they have some team option the fourth year, which is, overpaid, no question.
Yeah, seems like a lot of money.
Yeah, that's almost like you amnesty that contract as you're giving it to the guy. But if it's a 5-year contract instead of 4, and we're in year 2 of that commitment, then it makes a little more sense. Which, again, not legal. I'm not accusing chicanery. I just think I think that's their thought process. Like, this guy's on our team, was on our team last year basically, and whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think this Celtics team is better than last year's Celtics team.
The Bradley thing worries me because he had one shoulder operated on, then the other one, which I don't think people realize.
This? What was the timing for that?
So right after the season, he got one shoulder operated on. They had to wait basically like a month and a half or something to get the other one operated on because you can't have your arms in both slings, right? You need to be able to move. You can't. That's my expert opinion. So he just had the second one, and they don't think he's going to be back until, he might not be back until January.
Is there any evidence of a player that's had both shoulders operated on in an off season? How they come back? It's
a little scary. It really is. That's not. When you think of how many picks and screens and stuff somebody has to fight through.
Oh, it's true.
And they're saying he's going to be fine. He's going to be 100% recovered. But
how did he end up with both hurt?
It's not good. I don't think that's a good sign. And he was, that means either two totally fluke coincidental injuries or there's something a little bit wrong with how his body's built. I don't know.
Maybe he needs to go to Germany.
It seems to be the answer for everything these days. By the way, I told you, Jacoby and Mays and we played hoops. It's like about 4 weeks. You don't want to hear my pickup hoop injury stories because you've been begging me not to play anymore. But I got kneed in the kneecap.
I saw you.
You saw me. I was limping around. I had that bruise on my thing.
Yeah.
And then we tried to play like a week ago, and it hadn't healed yet. And I'm limping around on one leg. And we were walking up the court, and I said to those guys, and they both wholeheartedly agreed. I was like, if you gave me HGH right now, I would take it so fast. And you were like, we don't know what the repercussions are of this, but we know your knee will feel better and you'll be able to play tomorrow. I'd be like, give me it. Do I shoot it? Do I take it? What do I do? And I have no financial stake at all. Like, I can't even imagine. Yeah, imagine if you're making $20 million a year and your knees hurt and people were like, yeah, this will make you feel better. You'll run faster. You'll jump higher. You'll be able to guard people better. You'll be able to do all the stuff you did 5 years ago.
Oh,
really? Give it to me.
You should just call up KG. I'm sure he could tell you about it.
Hey, that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
That's not fair at all. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying.
I didn't accuse anybody.
I'm just saying. I don't know what the benefits of some of this, like say the Germany trip.
Yeah.
But I would go there in a millisecond if my knees hurt.
The benefits of the Germany trip is that it has not yet been declared illegal or against the rules.
Yeah, I'll make jokes about it, but it's 100% legal. And I'll tell you this much: Brandon Warren went from retiring at age 26 and just being depressed. He goes to Germany and now he's making a little comeback.
Well, look, I hope it works.
I hope it works too.
I would like very much to see him back in the league doing what he was doing, and I think it's a good thing to have Kobe around for another couple of years, playing at a high level. I like a good Kobe.
We need to figure out as a society where we stand with all this stuff because, like your boy Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
He missed a year and he's got a dead guy's ligament in his elbow.
Right.
Right. And we're all okay with that. We're okay with dead person's ligament in the elbow.
That's how they do it.
But if I go to Germany and I get blood-enriched platelets re-injected into my knees or whatever, it's a little more suspicious. Why is that more suspicious than having a dead person's ligament in my elbow?
I don't think it's suspicious. Who said it was suspicious? It's just a funny joke to make.
Okay.
It's fine. The proof is in the pudding. Kobe had a very good season health-wise, I think. He came back. He injured his wrist, I think, very early on in the preseason. And he played through it. He played all those games. I don't have any problem with, guys taking all reasonable means, all steps and means to protect themselves.
What about HGH? What if they said to Avery Bradley, take these HGH pills, or is it pills? How does HGH work? Is it
I have no idea.
Drink?
I think it's an injection.
Can you buy it? I think they put HGH in the coconut water Jacoby buys.
He looks it. He's ripped, that Jacoby.
Jacoby's, something he's always needs his coconut water. But
I'm an outlier. I'll confess this. I don't have any problem with it. I don't have any problem with guys taking anything that prolongs their career, so long as it's not demonstrably unhealthful to them, like horse steroids or whatever football players a couple decades ago were taking. But all of the stories over the years of baseball guys taking various forms of caffeine and uppers to be able to survive a season, I don't really have any problem with it.
Me neither. I had no problem with it. Now, whatever Bonds was doing that made his head grow,
right?
That seems like maybe we draw a line there as a
society. That's where the line is. When your head grows 4 sizes,
your hat size changes.
And you hit 40 more home runs.
Or here's another example: Ben Johnson, the '88 Olympics, when he had yellow eyeballs from whatever he was doing. Yellow eyeballs? I'm going to draw the line at that.
Those are the lines.
Your eyeballs should be white.
Gigantic head and yellow eyeballs.
Yeah, I need white eyeballs, and I need your hat size to not change, and your jaw can't grow. That's another one. You can't grow your jaw. Well, back to my original point. I would do whatever it took to stay on top if I was any of these guys.
I think they do.
Do you really genuinely think they do?
I think most guys find themselves at a point in their career where, for the recovery purposes and which is to say, the nightly recovery,
the grind,
at whatever
of the
point
schedule,
you hit your that moment in your aging, your natural progression with aging, where you can't recover, your youth. What you get out of youth stops.
I feel that way right now.
And I think it happens for every guy at a different age. Like, Steve Nash, holy cow. But I think everybody looks in the mirror and says, what can I do to get back that recovery ability? And I think for somebody like Steve Nash, he looked at diet, he looked at sleep. I mean, that they all look for ways of helping themselves prolong their careers as much as possible, and I think it's a reasonable option for a lot of guys.
Yeah, in all seriousness, I am in the benefit of the doubt camp with this stuff because they do test for it, and because I do think a lot of the reasons why these guys have been able to play into much later into their careers than guys in previous generations have are explainable. I wrote a column about this 18 months ago. The diet thing is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And the sleep thing's a big thing.
Absolutely.
The developments they've made in personal training, all that stuff's really helped.
Yep.
Charter airplanes really helps. These guys were flying coach and carrying suitcases.
I think even stuff like what Dallas with Cuban, how he put chairs courtside that actually fit the players.
Right. The sneakers.
Yeah.
And the sleeves they wear, and when now if somebody gets injured, they have all those weird things like these electromagnetic heat thing, all these weird gadgets and stuff where you can pull your hamstring and play 8 days later because it's getting 24-hour electrical stimulus or whatever they're doing now. Stimulation.
I think electric.
It's too bad I'm not a professional writer. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, they just didn't have this stuff in the 70s, 80s. And if you hurt your knee, they would go in, they scope it, and it's better in 4 weeks. You couldn't do that in 1971.
Well, that's an interesting thing that we just saw with Blake, right? He had the option to scope during the playoffs and declined it. And now there's a theory that that's why he hurt himself during the Olympics, but that's probably a best-case scenario for the Clippers, all things considered.
Well, it's not just a theory. It's unclear For the way I read the stories, it seems like he probably should have gotten his knee scoped or whatever and not played in the Olympics.
Yeah. So now he has to have surgery and not play in the Olympics.
Only the Clippers would sign somebody to a $95 million extension and he gets hurt the next day. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. No
it
other
seemed
team
pretty
that
unfortunate. It was pretty unfortunate.
Hey, last thing, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Minnesota versus Portland. It's kind of a blood feud here over Nicholas Batum.
Yep, I've been watching it.
A lot of words have been written on the internet.
Oh, on what? The fan boards?
People are covering this story. It's a real story. At the heart of the story is the fact that Nicholas Batum is going to make, it seems like, about $50 million for 4 years.
Wow.
Somewhere between $48 and $50 million. Now, you and I both agreed after we watched the finals that the league is going in a certain direction. This is why I wanted the Celtics to take Perry Jones or whoever and not Fab Melo, because I don't know if centers are going to really matter anymore.
Yes.
And Nicholas Batum is somebody that does two things that it seems like you need to do in this league going forward. He can make threes, and he can guard wing guys.
Yep.
And yet you would never think of him as somebody who would make 8 figures a year. He's overpaid, but I'm actually okay with the contract.
I'm not that blown away by it either. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, that $50 million, and that's why it got the whistle out of me. But honestly, I absolutely, unequivocally agree that he is the prototype for the direction the league seems to be headed.
Yes.
And he's also young. So
23, yeah.
You got to pay a guy like that, because if he can deliver what his potential seems like, he can deliver, he's going to be bumping up against the very upper echelon of that superstar. I mean, let's say star. I don't want to use super yet on him. But
also,
star,
you might be buying low with him because of just the way they used him. They basically just planted him in the corner. He wasn't actually playing basketball that much. But
totally agree with it.
And if you're Minnesota, this is how I feel about what the Brooklyn did with Joe Johnson. If you're Minnesota, how else you need that third? You need one more piece to go with Love and Rubio and Derek Williams, who I'm not giving up on.
Right.
You're gonna have to overpay somebody to come to Minnesota. So why not him? I mean,
I agree.
He's worth $8 million a year. You're paying him $12 million, but it's a $4 million per year tax to get somebody to come to Minnesota.
That's the keep Kevin Love happy premium.
Yeah. Got
to do it.
I had a much bigger issue with the Hibbert contract. I thought that was stupid. $58 million for Roy Hibbert, 4 years, $58 million for Roy Hibbert, who in the last 3 games of that Miami-Indiana series, they could barely keep him on the court.
The Pacers are right on the brink of being in that no man's land, because they got to do
let
something.
Him go.
They got to do something about Granger, and when you make that kind of commitment to Hibbert, it impairs your ability to bring in a wing guy. Now they have some nice pieces there still, the Pacers.
Well, now Paul George has to become a really good player.
That's it. That's the situation they created for themselves.
If he doesn't become an all-star level player, they're screwed until 2016.
Yeah, I mean it means that they're going to win whatever, high 40s, low 50s each year and be out of the playoffs by the second round.
Indiana could not keep Roy Hibbert on the court in those last couple games because of once Miami went small.
I mean, the thing that's happening all around is all the teams are going small.
Yeah. That's why I didn't like the Fab Melo pick. If
I
Miami
like
plays Bosh, if they play Bosh and LeBron together as their two bigs, then how does Fab Melo even play?
He won't. That's the answer. That's my professional opinion.
My man Sully, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I trust Sully's judgment.
No, Sully.
Oh,
Sully's out. No, I told my friend Sully he's out. There's a new Sully in town, Jared Sullinger.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't believe that. You just did that to Sully like that?
I call him Sean now.
Old Sully?
He's Sully 1.0.
He is Sully 1.0. So
Sully
your main man, Sully 2.0.
Yeah, I might start calling him Sully 2.0. I don't know if I want to take Sully's nickname away, but
it's better.
Sully 2.0 though.
Sully 2.0 is very meta. I'm excited for it.
Have you watched Summer League or no?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's too nice out to watch Summer League right now, but I did catch a little bit of Golden State.
Yeah.
And was really impressed by the Klay Thompson-Harrison Barnes combo.
Oh, well, Harrison Barnes did exactly what you would expect. He did a Harrison Barnes thing. So I actually watched some of them, too, because I'm interested in Harrison Barnes.
You know what he does? He makes wide-open jump shots. If he's
not every game, though.
No, but he'll do it, though.
Well, he's going to do it some games. The thing that his whole career hinges on whether or not he's going to do it more games than not. That's his career.
If he becomes a 40% three-point shooter,
oh my God,
then that really might have been worth the fact that they disgraced themselves down the stretch with one of the all-time most shameless tanking things anyone's ever done. I mean, really, it's in the top 4 ever of worst tanking, and it probably paid off for him.
That's a humongous if. That's a capital. That's a 24 font I, 24 font F.
I'll tell you this though.
40%.
You play him and Thompson together. It's two pretty tall, athletic dudes.
It does make the Monte jettisoning feel a little bit more acceptable.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think they did all the right things.
Yeah, right. I mean,
going forward into this season, I'd rather have Andrew Bogut than I forgot. The one thing I wouldn't have done is the Steven Jackson, Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, I was going to say they still got Richard Jefferson for the craziest reason. I can never come up with it myself.
The way to handle the Steven Jackson thing, you just tell him to stay away from your team and we'll pay you.
Right.
And then you hope he goes insane and demands a buyout. And that's how you handle it. You try to get out of it for.
You just go to him and buy him out. Why play the games? He doesn't want to play for your team. He's not going to help you by being around your team.
Yeah, Richard Jefferson for $10 million a year. At the same time, he's a ninth man. You know.
Okay.
Not a terrible guy to have off your bench, even though he's catastrophically overpaid.
Right.
But Bogut, Lee, Barnes, Thompson, and Steph Curry, assuming that he can walk.
Yes.
Pretty interesting team.
At least fun. Like, if I had season tickets to basketball anymore, and I don't because I can get.
Yeah, you'd want to see the Warriors come into town.
They were one of my teams last year. They're always intriguing to me.
I'll tell you another thing. The one big thing from this summer is that the balance of power shifted a little bit to the East.
I mean, I think more than a little bit.
More than a little bit. If you look at the West now, so you have San Antonio, Oklahoma City, the Lakers, Memphis, and the Clippers.
Yeah.
I think those are all still playoff teams.
True.
Denver, sure. There's 6. Dallas.
What a weird place they're in now.
Might be a lottery team. They need a monster year from Dirk.
It really seems inappropriate to ask him to go to the tank one more time.
Here are all of Dallas's players right now. Boubois, Elton Brand, Darren Collison, Jay Crowder.
I like Crowder, by the way.
Vince Carter, Jared Cunningham, Taja Djurjekovic.
Okay.
Bernard James, Dante Jones, Dominique Jones, Chris Kaman, Sean Marion, Dirk Nowitzki, and Brandon Wright. Their second best player, as far as I can tell, is Sean Marion.
Yep.
That's not good.
That is not good.
I mean, that might be a lottery team.
Who is the starting 5 on that team?
I don't know. Utah, fringe playoff team.
Yeah.
Houston,
but covers. I love where they are.
Houston. TBD. Phoenix, lottery team. Portland, lottery team. Minnesota doesn't get Rubio till February, lottery.
Right.
Sacramento, lottery. New Orleans, lottery. Golden State. Could go either way.
On the edge.
We're going to struggle to get to 8 playoff teams in that conference. This is the first time that's happened in a while. I mean, in the East, we've seen it year after year after year. We had these crappy teams, sneaking in 7, 8 seeds.
And the West had 10 teams that were the best.
Yeah, the West was always like super loaded, unless that Dwight trade goes through for Houston, or they get Bynum. I think you're gonna have more lottery teams than playoff teams in the West.
That's interesting. That'd be the first time. We should look at this. Somebody should do a stats on that. When's the last time that happened?
And FYI, Memphis hasn't. It's not like Memphis really got better. They're losing Mayo.
I think there's still a deal to be had with Gay.
With Gay?
Yeah.
For what?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to where he should go, but it didn't work last year.
No, it didn't. I agree with you. Their big mistake was giving Randolph that big extension. Even though he played well, it was your classic. You had 3 good months together with the crazy girlfriend. You gave her the ring.
I don't know. They were damned if they did, damned if they didn't. He was the toast of the town. He made them relevant again. They beat San Antonio.
Yeah, it is true. And he got hurt last year.
Yeah,
I need to think about that some more. 4 years, $60 million or whatever for Zach was a little extreme.
I guess, but he also, the one thing that to me made it worth it, he did that. He had that one skill that is so critical, which is you could trust him to have the ball inside of 4 minutes of a playoff game, and a good thing was likely to happen. That's a rare talent.
And maybe if Tony Allen doesn't get hurt last year, that team makes some noise. I am still amazed that they lost to the Clippers.
I honestly think that it's okay to chalk up last season as the whole thing as an aberration. You don't say I'm going to dramatically alter the trajectory of my team just based on last season.
Everything about last season. Zebo got
hurt. Yes. This upcoming season is how you really get a feel for what you have.
Well, and then the East, Chicago, they're going to be worse. Miami's better.
Why is Chicago going to be worse?
Because Rose is going to be gone for most of the year.
He can't play until when?
Like February.
Yeah, okay. Got it.
It's a 2-year injury.
Yeah, that's right.
Miami's better.
Damn it.
Indiana's worse, right? A little worse?
They're the same.
Celtics are the same. Hawks now not a playoff team.
Wow.
Orlando probably not a playoff team.
Why aren't the Hawks a playoff team?
Well, they could be. Is
that not an addition by subtraction potential there?
Getting rid of your leading scorer for a bunch of crap?
Yeah, but, he was... Okay. I don't need his bad talk, Joe Johnson.
Orlando? Unless you'd have to have one of the all-time Ewing theory seasons, but I'm going to pencil them in for the lottery.
Yes.
Knicks playoffs.
Yep.
Philly playoffs. So that means Milwaukee, Detroit. Oh, Brooklyn. Brooklyn will make the playoffs.
They should.
And then maybe your Wizards will make it.
They're right on the edge. They're looking at about 39 to 42 wins.
It seems like we have 7 playoff teams in each conference and then a bunch of hmms. Although I'm not willing to count out the Mavericks just because of Dirk. I don't think Dirk's not going to go down like this.
No, and Germany didn't make the Olympics, right?
No.
So he gets the whole summer to rest.
Yeah.
He's going to be juvenated.
Last thought. It looks like JaVale McGee might get $50 million for 5 years. Your thoughts?
You have to pay that kind of money. I thought Washington was going to do it, and I actually had made peace with it already. You see that transcendent talent, that athleticism out of a 7'2" guy, and that's going right in the NBA to find out whether or not he's ever going to learn how to play basketball.
I would go 4. 5's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but the dollars are the dollars, right? It's 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how you get around it.
Mm.
If he averages 4 block shots a game and figures out how to redirect 1.5 of those blocks onto the court rather than to the 5th row, that's a meaningful change in the direction of your team, potentially.
Well, a lot of interesting stuff going on. House, we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
so I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.